Hi, I'm Paul Krutko. I'm the President and CEO of Ann Arbor Spark. I'm really happy to be here to talk with you today. I'm going to do just a really quick introduction, and then I'm going to show you a video because I came here from Silicon Valley. I was Chief Development Officer for the city of San Jose for a decade. Those of you who know the Valley know that San Jose is the biggest city in Silicon Valley. 65% of the jobs, 65% of the companies are literally in San Jose. My biggest clients were Cisco Systems, eBay, Adobe, names that you all know. But it's important to note that eBay started in a San Jose incubator 16 years ago. It's now a worldwide e-commerce platform. This does work, but the point is, at this stage that Bob was talking about and how you measure, this is very much an effort about creating companies initially, not creating jobs. And I think that's what we have to communicate to the public. The public thinks that we're going to have that success with an eBay that's going to create thousands of jobs like that. No startup does that. That never occurs. There is a ramp-up period that happens. But anyway, what I want to talk about and what I'm going to show you in the video is coming here, I've been here, in the position 3 years. I was recruited to succeed Mike Finney. I have been tremendously surprised. And we were asked a series of questions, and I'm going to frame my remarks around the questions. And one of the questions was, how recognizable is Michigan's culture of innovation? I'm going to argue, and I'm going to show you in a second, that I think that we have a very strong culture of innovation. It's just that many people don't know about it. Many people don't know about it in our state. Many people don't know about it in the Great Lakes region, nationally or globally. I think that specific communities and sub-areas of the state and to certain intelligentsia, this fact is true. But it doesn't jump out in a national global conversation in the broader consciousness or in the media that this is an innovative place. So what I want to show you is what we're doing at Spark is we're trying to communicate to the rest of the world that this culture of innovation is here. And I'll tell you why we're doing it after I show you this video. It's only 3.5 minutes.
There's a concept that springs forth from food called terroir, and that is that the food that is grown in a region is reflective, literally, of the earth that the plants that grow that food are planted in. And I think this area has that terroir to it. There is something that happens to the businesses and the people who live here that is actually born out of the earth, if you will.
I think people have always thought about the University of Michigan first, but the fact is there's a fantastic business community here. There's just great intellectual leadership here.
And it runs right up against a community that actually knows how to make stuff.
Products that we produce, the products that we develop here are innovative, they're patented.
We still see and have the same kind of ingenuity, entrepreneurship, and really strong engineering core talent that really allows us to create products that will change the world.
We've been able to put in about a third less in capital than what the companies on the coast that would be doing exactly the same things would take. The people here are extremely hardworking and very creative about how they get products developed. So they figured out ways to do it that just cost less to do.
Business thrives here.
But we also found a very welcoming community in Ann Arbor. Whether it was the surrounding businesses or frankly whether it was groups like Spark, people are attracted to Ann Arbor because of what it offers as a community.
This town helps me attract that talent. This state helps me attract that talent because they love being here.
Our employees love coming into work. They're happy to live in Ann Arbor. It's a low cost of living with a high amount of happiness and with a Silicon Valley-like culture.
The thing I love about Ann Arbor is the fact that it is such a nice combination of being able to have a great work and family balance, being able to raise kids here in a great school system. The reason why I don't move to San Francisco and start Arboretum there is because I want my kids to grow up here in Ann Arbor.
As a transportation hub, it's actually spectacular. I mean, flying in and out of Detroit Metro around the world, we've got direct connections from here into Asia, into Europe, and even down into Latin America.
You can get on one plane and get to virtually any part of the world on a non-stop direct flight. That is an amazing asset for a community like us.
We certainly have close connections to the state of Michigan through one of our founders and to the University of Michigan, but we really see great talent here in Michigan.
ultimately, it's about access to talent. That's what drives companies. That's how great companies continue to build and grow, and we've done really well with that here.
There are a lot of universities here with a lot of really smart people developing a lot of really cool technologies.
I think the future of Ann Arbor business is extremely bright.
We are now being recognized as one of the entrepreneurial centers of the United States.
In life sciences, in advanced manufacturing, in automotive research and development, and in IT.
You've got all of the right ingredients.
It's got the recipe for success with great research universities, a great talent pool, a business community that's savvy.
For me personally, Pure Michigan says, welcome home. I think for a lot of people, maybe it even says, welcome back. And for anybody who's coming to visit or to stay, it just simply says, welcome. We'd love to have you here.
That's a message for the rest of the world. We have the assets in this state and the talent in this state to compete with any of the other innovation centers in the world. We just need to tell our story better and maximize the resources that we have. No doubt there, and I'll talk a little bit about that, there are things that we could do better here, but what we're faced with in that talent question that was just mentioned is we have traveled the country and try to recruit people to come here to work in these great companies that are getting started here. And we hear things like they're afraid of being beached in Ann Arbor if they move here for an opportunity that meets their career arc. They wouldn't, and I'll explain the beaching comment, but the perception is out there. That means that if I come to take a job with a technology, an innovative company, someplace in the state of Michigan, and that company gets acquired or some creative destruction thing happens, which is what happens in technology companies these days, I can't find another job in my same career path. That's not true. You can, but the perception in a Boston or Silicon Valley is you lose that job, your company gets bought by Cisco, and in 2 days you have 5 other offers. That kind of opportunity is here, but people don't believe that it's here. We know that it's true because a number of Silicon Valley companies have made bets in Ann Arbor. They have located facilities. And what they tell us, and I'll give you what they do, they kind of go, shh, don't tell anybody that this is such a great business climate with sticky talent. And what they mean by sticky talent is that people they want to live in Michigan. They want to have their families grow up in Michigan. So when they take a job, they're really committed to working with that company. And you know, the issue is that there just isn't wider knowledge about that advantage. I'm going to give you an anecdote. There was a great program that the state was funding. I'm going to get to my laments here in a minute. About how we approach things that I thought just had tremendous legs. It was called Michigan. We were using the alumni databases to go to other technology markets and find folks that went to school here, maybe were Michigan residents or maybe not, and had jobs elsewhere. And we were showing them the opportunity to come back here. We did this in multiple locations around the country. Now, the state has decided that they don't think that they want to pursue that program. But I'll tell you what happened in Palo Alto. We had 4 television stations cover us. When I walked into the room and I was a little concerned because here I am, the prodigal son, if you want to call me that, coming home with my Rolodex and inviting these people to the session. And I knew the television reporters, and what they asked me, I said, the story is that but for snow, people ought to be coming here to get these jobs because, and they put this on the TV screens, 4 channels across the Bay Area. People, they said, basically, big traffic jam, you're tired of your hour-and-a-half commute, you want to buy a house, you want to see your kids play soccer. You can't do that in the Bay Area. It's impossible. People trade commuting for housing price. And so the message resonates. I have an anecdote there that a leading serial entrepreneur in the Valley at a conference out there, we didn't position this, told them that Silicon Valley's out of A players, don't start your company there, start your company in Ann Arbor or Michigan. You'll find the talent you need there. Jan Garfinkel talked about how our burn rate is 35% less than on the coast. That's a dramatic advantage for us because companies can stay in business longer, and when there is the exit, the return to the venture capitalist is much higher. The other question was, how might we better cultivate innovation in our state, and what have others done to generate innovation? I think Bob will agree with me on this. Part of the issue and the thing that I want to encourage state policymakers, both in the administration and the legislature, is you need to stay the course. You need to continue and invest more as a state. We need to tell the story of our innovative companies and their successes. It costs money to do that. We do a great job with Pure Michigan, right? We talk about lakes, we talk about trees, we talk about all that. We need to do more about talking about those companies that we have here, because they're going to bring the jobs that will allow those people to enjoy those lakes and those trees and all those golf courses. We really need to tell the story about our business case and our value proposition and not be penny wise and pound foolish. Accelerators and incubators and facilities like Bob has talked about that we have in Ann Arbor need subsidy. Plain and simple. There's none that operate around the country without support, either from private companies or primarily from public sources to make that happen. We're hearing, the rumblings from MEDC that they don't think that we should be doing that anymore. And my response to that is, yes, we've had success in this decade or so since we've been doing this. But remember, Silicon Valley is 80 years in the making, okay? Research Triangle Park was started in 1955. Those are concerted efforts to change the dynamics of a region. Silicon Valley, those of you who may not know, was originally called the Valley of Heart's Delight. It was one of the most pristine agricultural areas in the United States. It's where Cesar Chavez started the farm worker movement. So your future isn't foreordained in terms of how you can change your economy to participate globally. We're one of the things that's very frustrating for me in this business, I've been at it for 35 years, is to watch policymakers, legislators, governors, and others tack back and forth. Okay, we're going to go in one direction for a while, then we go in another direction. The places in the world that are successful is that they've kept a steady course and work to achieve the goal over time. So I get frustrated by the constantly changing RFPs that we have to respond to. I'd like to see us fund the programs that are working and keep funding. For Spark, what's important to us moving forward, and I do give MEDC some credit about this because they are thinking about this point, is we need to think about how to accelerate companies from when they have 10 employees and $1 million in revenue to 100 million, 200 million, and 100 employees. We don't have a real good programming set to deal with that, and how do we help them make that rapid growth? The retraining, the retention, recruitment of talent, we call them the 3 R's, is very key, and you're going to hear that over and over again. In particular for Ann Arbor, a major problem for us that really is more local than state is this, that we need more dense real estate for our companies to grow in, and we are really being choked by a lack of available just office R&D space, not the lab space. The last question was, what are the gains of an innovative culture to a region? We think it's been pretty clear, both from the time Rick Snyder and Mary Sue Coleman founded Spark till and hired Mike Finney to my tenure now, our results on macroeconomic measures are pretty strong. The state is still, I was at the Governor's Economic Development Conference in Grand Rapids Monday, and the stat was put up that as a state, we're still 120,000 jobs short of where we were before. So to get back to where we were before, we still have to have 120,000 jobs created in the state. In the case of Ann Arbor, we've already done that. We've already passed where we were before, and we have the highest level of jobs in the community's history. But what's been interesting is the transformation effect. Before the two recessions, because there was the dot-com recession that a lot of people forget, which was 2001, and then the Great Recession, in Ann Arbor, the economy was 2/3 manufacturing, 1/3 professional technical. Through this transformation where we've brought those jobs back, we're now 50-50. We're 50% manufacturing, 50% professional technical. And relative to GDP perspective, compared to all U.S. metros, we're right in line. We've grown at about 9.5% over the last 4 years. All metros in the United States grew at 11%. There's an underlying message in that about city and place. This is where the economy and where state policymakers do need to focus, because the national economy, GDP in that same period, only grew 5.3%. In metros, it grew 11%. So cities, metropolitan areas are the job generators of our economy, and more attention, and I've heard Bob speak about the importance of key investment programs inside cities to help that happen is very, very important. And, yeah, and the proof is also how people vote with their feet. Over the last 10 years, while the state has been losing population, Ann Arbor's population grew by 30,000 people against the county population of 330. So the last question was, what policy considerations are there for building a place where people are encouraged to innovate? I have my earlier comments. We need to build on our successful models and adequately fund them. We need the state to be an enabler, not a prescriber. It's ironic to me that what we're trying to do with state programs is encourage entrepreneurial behavior, but it's being governed by the most incredible bureaucratic process. So you have incredible bureaucratic process trying to enable entrepreneurship. It's pretty ironic. Being attentive, my last comments are being attentive to place is really very important now. 65% of the young talent chooses where to live before they choose who to work for. So we need to be attentive to place, but the point that we're struggling with in Ann Arbor is we need to be paying attention to place for new and future users, not the past and current users. That's a real rub, okay? Our kids want density, they want transit, they want to walk, and they're faced with communities that are based on the car and suburban lifestyles. And so that's a rub in terms of our planning. So really, I think the key issues there are how we're going to focus on place building in terms of transport, young professional housing, and office space for nascent companies. Thanks for listening. I'll be happy to, with Bob, answer your questions.